So, we have a nice gentleman from Paris, France here, who goes by the name of Pedro Winter, aka Busy P. He has done a few things behind the scenes as well as on the scenes. Been a manager of a well-known duo and another well-known duo, and of a great and quite successful label called At Banger. So please give this man a very warm welcome.
Bonjour. Oh. Bonjour, bonjour, bonjour. So yes, I am from Paris, France. I crossed the channel to come to London. In fact, I'm in town to celebrate the 7 years of my small label, At Banger Records. We are throwing a party tonight, and the Red Bull people gently proposed me to come visit you. And I like this kind of unprepared stuff. And meeting you guys, I think, you're all coming from all around the world, if I understand. Anyone from France, rather than except me? Except those two crazy drunk guys I met yesterday? We are the only Frenchies. So first, this is amazing. I've been lucky enough to visit the Academy this morning.
Yeah, we're glad to have you here. So, but who is At
I
Banger?
was jealous, in fact.
You were jealous?
If I can speak to the Red Bull people, I was jealous. I never been invited to such a crazy thing. Like, having your own studio 24 hours a day. I wish I could come and, how's been so far? Like, any good tracks? Have you done something? Did you achieve something, or you just get drunk in London and get far away from your country? Both. Good.
It's like Christmas for them, extended over 2 weeks.
Me, the only academy I trust is the police academy, but I'm happy to see what's going on at the Red Bull Academy. So
you weren't going to?
Sorry?
You weren't going to music school then, if you don't
If I
trust?
no. Me, I wanted to become a lawyer. It's funny, when you're a kid, you want to be an astronaut, you want to be a fireman, you want to be an actor, you want to be a star. Me, I wanted to be a lawyer.
Why a lawyer?
I don't know. So it's not sexy, but this is how it was in my head at the time, and I knew I wanted to be a lawyer, and in the entertainment business. So this is, sorry, I'm going back, to slowly arrive to what I'm doing right now, and I wanted to be part of this whole entertainment business. I wanted to, but I wanted to be behind. I wanted to create, the magic, what's, all the work you have to do to put up a show, all the stuff, the work you have to do, to put out a record. And so I start my university. I have to be honest with you, I did it 3 months. So I don't have a huge...
You were that much of a quick learner? So
Sorry?
It only took you 3 months to come.
It took
to
me
get your
3
degree?
months to be lucky enough to meet some guys in a record shop in Paris, and it was the Daft Punk boys, and I was 20 years old at the time. I was a bit late at school, and I met the guys, and I was at the time in Paris, I was throwing some parties in a small club, and I invited them to play for me.
What kind of parties back then?
At the time it was in '95, and my life was all about house music, especially New York house music. So Kenny Dope, Louis Vega were my gods. I must have the biggest collection of Masters at Work record, and for those who know Masters at Work, it's kind of hard, because those guys, they are like...
Very prolific. They've done a remix every week, right?
Every 2 days, man. Especially in '95, and so it was really house music, and you probably know those names, but at the time the guys who were playing in my parties were DJ Gregory, Dimitri from Paris, Philippe Dar of Motorbase, who became Cassius later on, and then 2 robots, the Daft Punk boys. So we became friends, and we were 20 years old, the 3 of us. We are from 1975, and and I quit school, like I quit university. You know, it was no point continuing trying to become a lawyer, and at the same time, you know, throwing parties, traveling the world, and trying to, you know, like learn a job. And I learned the management business, even though I hate this. You know, I don't feel comfortable in being a manager. You know.
But before we come to the managing part of how to manage a group, what attracted you to that kind of house music from New York, especially? Because, you know, if you want to be pigeonholing, it's kind of a very different musical style than what people might put you in these days, you know.
Or if you want, we can even go back. In '92, my first rave party in Paris. I discovered electronic music with a pop group called Delight that you probably all know. But I didn't fall in love with Delight for Groove is in the Heart, but I fall in love with the track What is Love, which you probably, I hope you know, which is a track which is from their album in 1989, sorry. And this is the first time I got repetitive music in my face, and at you know, when you're 14 years old, you can start to realize things, because before that, I think music, you know, you just get it from the people around you, your brother, your cousin, your parents, radio, but your choice, you know. I love people saying, yeah, I discovered Run DMC when I was 10 years old. This is not true, you know. At 10 years old, you shut up and you're just listening and eat what people are throwing at you. And so What is Love in '99, I was like, whoa, I like this kind of trance thing, you know, repetitive music. Then the electronic, especially like the house music, arrived in France in the gay clubs. But at the time I was too small, like too young to go to those places. And Laurent Garnier, David Guetta, even though it can be surprising, but David Guetta used to DJ with Laurent Garnier at the time in a famous club called Boy. Again, I never been able to go there because I was too young, but I know, like, people transfer me this knowledge. So it was the first waves of electronic music in France, and me, I discovered it at the second wave, '92, where the raves were outside of Paris in big warehouse, and I went there. At the time, I was doing skateboard, so all my life was about heavy metal and crazy stuff, you know. And we were there, like we were 10 guys, and we arrived in this warehouse where, I don't know, like 3,000 or even more, you know, Lenny D, Ralphie D, Lisan Elias, all those names that, you know, you know them from this 90s electronic.
They were playing a pretty hard and fast style of techno.
And it's good you're jumping on this, because it's exactly the point where I want to speak. It was really hard music at the time, and I enjoyed this, you know, like this rave thing and this crazy experience for a few years. And at some point, 3 years later, I was a bit fed up, you know. Going to those raves was kind of a trip, you know. You had to take like shuttles, buses outside of Paris. Not that easy. You are like 1 hour or 2 hours away from Paris at 7 in the morning. And you're like, what the fuck I'm doing here? Like, so I gave up on this, and I discovered that inside of Paris, we had some nice clubs. One of them was Rex Club. One of them, every Thursday night, was a famous DJ called Laurent Garnier, throwing parties called Wake Up. And wow, Derrick May, you know, Juan Atkins, all those guys were coming down, spinning with Laurent Garnier, and it's why it was like 20 minutes away from home. No more mud on my shoes, no more crazy trip, you know. And then I discovered this techno music, you know. Before that, it was, I don't, you know, like in the raves, especially early 90s, it was like trancey, whatever, like kind of, today I don't think I will listen to it. Then I discovered techno music, and then from club to club, you discovering those other kind of music. And then I discovered house music. And thanks to, we have a French radio, which is unfortunately nowadays a bit crap, which is called Radio FG. Where we used to, it was like, again, like a gay or orientated radio, which turns into like a more electronic and house radio. And DJ Deep, which is a very famous DJ in Paris, DJ Gregory, had a DJ show. It was called A Deep Groove, and it was all about house music, and I spend my money buying records, and then I wanted to even be more part of this whole electronic scene, you know. Being you are part of it, you know. I like to say that this whole of movement, you know, you are part of it from the dance floor, like people, you know, in the clubs. It's not all about the DJ, the VJs, the promoters. It's about, you know, the people who are dancing. And from dancers, I wanted to say, oh, I want to be that guy. So then I wanted to become a DJ. So '95, I started to DJ. Again, in this whole electronic movement thing. And then from being a DJ, I said, oh, I want to play my own record. So then I started to produce myself. And then, oh, I want to have my own label. On and on, being part of it, you know, feeling, of course, responsible for what we are doing now with Headbanger, but what we were doing with Daft Punk or with the other artists. Really like, throw my whole body into this electronic movement.
And do you have any of those old house tracks still with you on your
you mean some
something that kind of grabbed you back then and never left you?
Oh la la, this is, you know what, we should have prepared this one.
You said you like it to be unprepared.
Yeah,
so
you get me on this one. You get me on this
some
one.
work.
Oh, you know what, and we are lucky. It's kind of symbolic, even though it's not completely pure New York house music, but it's someone I really like, and again, it's unprepared, and I just found him, and I'm just up. Where are you? Let's see this one.
And this track is kind of also an example of using samples in a nice way, right? Yeah. It's full of them.
It's full of them. But since when using samples is a problem?
It became one for Danny Wang himself, because he started to say that it's very bad using samples and that he hates his old stuff and no one should sample and everyone should do his own music.
Yeah, sometimes people changing their mind, you know. But the good news, he was good using samples and he's still good without, you know. But again, me, I have no problem of, you know, like if you want to go on this debate, using sample, not using sample. Of course, like it's a waste of time. Use samples as much as you want. If you sample my artist, we will sue you. You know, that's all I can tell you. No, samples.
Have you ever gotten into problems using samples?
I never been into problem, but it takes, just like to, you know, to make it clear, it takes time and it costs some money, you know, to use samples, you know. And right now I am finishing. We have an artist on Headbanger called Uffie, which is a female MC. We're gonna release her album on end of May this year, and I'm still working on some paper sheet right now, like trying to clear samples, because some of my artists, like Mr. Oizo or stuff like that, you know, still think they can sample and give me some tracks. Oh, Pedro, put it, release it, and I'm like, man, you sampled. Like,
so they don't tell you what they used? Sometimes
they don't tell me. Now they understand they have to tell me, but it's part of the game, you know. Like, and me, I'm, you know, you have to be fair. You're sampling someone, you know. You definitely have to share, you know, if it's becoming. But I never had any trouble. And if you want, I can make you a little funny thing that I'm sure we all share the same love for this Detroit artist called JD. And JD, I think it was like a bit more, some like 9 or 8 years ago, for his band Slum Village. He sampled a track of one of the Daft Punk boys, and we because we knew about JD and Slum Village, we listened to the album and we were like, wow, fuck, he did something pretty good with the track. And of course, at the time, you know, Daft Punk, we were surrounded by Virgin Records and some lawyers and some people, and everybody was like, whoa, Pedro, you can't let it go. You have to say something. And I said, yeah, of course I'm going to say something, but I'm not going to say something that, you know, I'm not going to go on JD's back or those guys. So we took our phone, and I called JD's manager at the time, and I think we did something pretty cool. We asked him to return the favor. So he did a remix for Daft Punk, and they did a brilliant track. And I'm now, with the history, I'm pretty glad we did it this way. I don't know if you know this one. So yes, sometimes sample issues, make good things. It's not all about doing like some shitty contract or whatever.
They can be cleared in another way as well.
Exactly.
And yeah, now we gotten back to Daft Punk. So please fill us into the magic fairy tale story. You met those two guys, and they said, "Hey, you want to become a lawyer?"
Yeah, and. Let's do it quick. It's because there is not much to say about it. 20 years old. I didn't know nothing about music business, and the boys too. They didn't know nothing about music business. As I said, we were 20 years old. I started to work with them on a summer '96, and in September we took for the first time of our life the Eurostar, and we were invited to Virgin Records. And you can imagine, 20 years old, wow. And we were like this, watching all around us. And we signed a contract. The boys signed a contract with Virgin. The album came out January 1997. It was homework. And the magic happened, after that, I hope you all know or heard about Daft Punk.
Is someone not familiar with Daft Punk?
And I think, first the most important thing, like the thing I owe them, it's them being genius, So, for that they have to have the full credit of their success. And after that, the intelligence they had is at the time. And it wasn't easy, again, for some kids. I really insist on the fact that, the fact that we were 20 years old, And at the time, it's really hard. And I can see you guys, you're young, and when success is coming near you, it's really hard to say no, And I think the secret of Daft Punk is being the king of the no. And in fact, I was the king of the no because I was the one saying no to everybody. And they protect themselves, and we got everybody, from Björk to Madonna to George Michael, to every, knocking the door. And
so, what do you do when Madonna calls?
I don't know, like it's you. I hang out, not with her, but I hang up the phone from the manager, and I call the boys, and I say, whoa, we got Madonna, and, but. At the same time, like this is the funny thing, they were not like running after success or fame, and they knew what they didn't want to do. And
pictures, for instance.
Sorry?
Pictures, photos, for instance, right?
What is this?
They didn't want to do anything.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, they wanted to protect themselves, hiding. Yeah, of course, yeah. They didn't want to, they wanted to be cool, take the subway in Paris, go to the bakery without being, assaulted,
Assaulted,
or I don't know, something like that. So they knew what they didn't want to do, and they knew what they wanted to do. And again, they managed their career with, still a dream of, being an artist and being able, to express yourself with your music, with your movies, with videos, and all the money they got, they were reinvesting in it. In their productions, they at the time, when we did video with Michel Gondry, with Spike Jones, those names, that you probably heard of. At the time, it was a lot of money, Even though nowadays, unfortunately, no one cares about videos. 10 years ago, we were spending a lot of time and a lot of money in videos, and we were creating, arts. We are creating, pieces. Nowadays, no one cares. And
why is that?
Why is that? I don't know, like, why is that? I don't have this kind of answer.
MP3 killed the video star?
No, MP3, no. MP3 save lazy DJs like us, you know. But no. Me, I'm, you know, like I will not go into this talk about like, you know, like it was better back in the days. When I'm saying we used to spend time, we used to spend money, it was a different time. I'm more talking about difference than, you know, better or, you know, I'm really happy, and I'm sure you guys are happy to live in 2010. You know, like look at our equipment. I've seen the studio upstairs. You know, you can make an album in a week, release it the next day, sell it on iTunes, Beatport, or whatever, sending to your friend in Tokyo. I'm happy to live in 2010.
Me too, but I was meaning like, why do you think a video is not important anymore?
Because there is no more channel, there is no more TV.
There is a channel called YouTube.
Yeah,
right?
Come on. Do you get money out of YouTube? Like, do you know? Like, they don't share their success with the label, with the artists. You know. But again, I don't want to go too much into this. You know, YouTube. You know, they are screening your movies, your art. You get nothing out of it. You know, and they are selling it. They are selling adverts. You know, before I'm watching your new video, I have to see like a crazy advert for whatever. But anyway, it's not like, the point is just like I'm more talking about a change, you know, and it's good, you know, to live with your time, and you know, evolution is a good thing. I will not, you know, go too deep into this, but nowadays, you know, of course, you know, there is still some artists doing some funny videos, smart videos, cheap videos. It was just a different time. But to go back on Daft Punk, they were reinvesting all their money and got, you know, the success they deserve. And a good thing also, they were rare. You know, like they didn't run after fame or success, so they took their time. And again, as we are into an academy, we have to pass, you know, the knowledge to each other. And me, as an adult now, wow, fuck. I keep telling my young artists on Headbanger to take their time. You know, we are not in a rush, and time is good. You know, like to avoid mistakes, of course, and most important to get better. And Daft Punk, they release only 3 albums in like 15 years, so it's kind of a slow production processes, but at the same time, you know, they achieved doing videos. And for those, I don't know if any one of you were at the Daft Punk live show in 2007, 3 years ago, with the whole pyramid and all light shows. This was pretty a crazy a crazy thing to put up together, you know. And again, they touched down with this, you know.
Was there a certain moment from like meeting those 2 guys in a record shop to when you realized, oh, there's something going on? I mean, like listening to one of their tracks in a club or something, or was it just a Eurostar to London?
First, an important thing, I was a fan. Like, even though they just did 2 12 inches before I know them. But of course, nu-rave and the funk were 2 tracks of Daft Punk. I was like, whoa! I was blown away when I listened to it. So then when I met them, of course I had something to tell them, like, whoa, you guys did, and you know, Daft Punk, it was in 95, and at the time, again, it was kind of a, you know, 109 BPM track, kind of, you know, George Clinton getting you know, like a grunge George Clinton track, you know, like no one knew what it was, you know. Do you want to play? Because I remember you wanted to play Daft Punk.
Yeah, if someone wants to hear it.
For those who don't know. And you know what? I'm sharing something with you. This is the kind of track when nowadays, when I'm DJing, people are singing it, you know? Huh? They are singing, you know, they are la la la. And it's always impressed me, you know?
I was singing it yesterday all day. Yeah.
Under the shower. We can speak on Daft Punk.
Yeah. So
So yeah, I was a fan, and then being part, like, you know, having the chance, you know, I had a really nice Chinese meal with Thomas of Daft Punk, summer '96, and he was like, oh, you know, like, we are in the studio right now, you should come check it out, and we're gonna need someone, like a right hand man or something. It wasn't really like a manager at the time, because neither do I, neither them knew what was a manager or whatever. And they told me, like, yeah, do you want to join us? And I think it took me like 40 seconds to say, yeah, okay, let's try, let's give up everything. I quit the nightclub scene of Paris, like, because at the time I was, as I said earlier, I was doing parties. So I gave up on all those parties and started to send my faxes from Thomas' studio, because at the time we didn't have an office. So it was all about faxes, no email yet. Soon, the email story is coming soon. But send faxes, like, to people, like, yeah, Daft Punk can come here to play in Germany, whatever. Receiving contracts by fax, again, really boring.
But how did you work your way through it? I mean, like, without any knowledge of the dangerous music business.
Yeah, but I think this is all about this, you know, like, being, you know, completely naive and fresh and new in something. This is exactly when we give you guys, like, a new sampler or a new keyboard or a new computer. Like, you know, like, when you have some new stuff, you try and you make accident.
But
and when you make accident, you make magic.
But you know, for instance, these people in Chicago back in the days that were probably influential to Daft Punk, they were naive and innocent as well and signed all their rights away.
True. But this, then we can go deeper in the story. Thomas of Daft Punk has a father, which is called Daniel Vanguard, which is an old disco hit maker in France. But you probably heard about some of his tracks. Ottawa, D-I-S-C-O, disco, D-I-S-C-O. Hey, come on, Patrick. D-C-O, voilà, he knows about it. So, luckily, Thomas' father got some music business knowledge, and it helped a lot at the beginning. So to avoid, you know, signing crazy contracts or make bad mistakes at the beginning. So this is something important. But after that, as I said, you know, we didn't know nothing, and signing with Virgin, and especially a man called Emmanuel de Bertel, we used to run Virgin France, who believe in Daft Punk, and had some different approach of music business. This makes the whole thing, and as I said also earlier, Daft Punk wanted to change the game. So they proposed some different ideas, they proposed a different contract, and on, like, by trying to make things move, even though we were that small in the game, you know, we were the little sand thing that makes things move. And also there is the luck fact, being lucky to arrive at a moment where electronic music crossed the border, you know, because nowadays, of course, no one really realized. I don't want to go too much also in a sad thing like, yeah, back in the days, techno was like a forbidden music or whatever. Of course, it wasn't like it was before that, but still in 96, 97, electronic music wasn't as big on the radio, as big on the TV shows, you know, it wasn't, you know, we were still close from the early years where electronic music was still the devil's music or the gay music, you know, like it was really like something that was not accepted, you know. Nowadays, you know, like you're opening the Olympics with David Guetta and stuff like that. So Daft Punk, Chemical Brothers, Prodigy, all those, you know, bands like in the mid-90s push, you know, the boundaries a bit further and make electronic music become a more pop thing.
Yeah, and what do you think was so pop about Daft Punk that you can sing it along even without lyrics?
Exactly, that you can sing it alone, and again, like a question of time, you know, a question of time. Like before that, you know, it was maybe like, I don't think Daft Punk is more melodic than Derrick May or, you know, stuff like that. It was just a question of time, and we're gonna speak about it later with Ed Banger, what I've been doing for the last years with Ed Banger. like sometimes, again, luck, you are at a crossing of time where you are the right point, you know, and luckily Daft Punk, with the help, of course, of Virgin Records at the time, because we have to be true, you know, like having such a record company behind you, you know, helps, you know, to break boundaries. It's not something we did alone.
But I know I'm kind of obsessed with pictures, but what did they say about the method of not having
Good question, because as you can imagine, a record label having an artist saying, oh, I don't want to do any promotion, I don't want to do interview, I don't want to do pictures. The record company, you know, they wanted to kill themselves, you know. They are spending millions, like, I want you to be number one, but you want to hide, what's wrong with you? But after a few meetings and fights, of course, you know, they understood the point of view, you know, and they respect that. And in this case, this is why we have to be, you know, cool to Virgin, you know. They were smart enough to trust a band who had a vision. But it wasn't like this idea of hiding themselves wasn't like a marketing thing or whatever. It was just, you know, they didn't feel it, you know. It was, again, a naive and fair thing to themselves, you know.
And it's nice that you have them in their robot persona toys.
Yeah, now I have toys of them,
right?
yeah. Yeah, because I quit Daft Punk management like a couple of years ago now.
Yeah, speaking of time, I mean, obviously...
I spent 12 years with them. And I like to say that I feel the fact that when we split together, it was more like, you know, when you are 18 years old and your parents are looking at you and say, it's time to have your own place now, you know. And I felt a bit like that with Daft Punk. It was about time, you know, and I wanted to start some other things.
So you still visit your parents from?
I'm still visiting my parents. Those bastards are living in Los Angeles now, so Los Angeles, big houses, big cars. You know what I mean, huh?
They're living the dream.
We are far away from the good old days where they were punk. If you're watching, Daft Punk. No, that now you know what, they are enjoying life and they deserve it more than anything. Of course, I'm still in touch and I'm most important still a big fan. And I'm looking forward to listen to what they are doing for Tron. You know, they are doing the soundtrack for Tron. Disney is spending billions of dollars and they are smart to have the idea to call Daft Punk to do the soundtrack. So I'm looking forward to it. And what else? And that's it. I think we could close down the Daft Punk chapter with a big hola to Daft Punk. And
yeah, what did you do when you left your parents' house?
When I left my parents, I had an idea of setting up, because as you can imagine, you know, spending some time with Daft Punk it's like living with a giant magnet, and I was keep receiving, you know, like music or artists wanted, I want you to be my manager, I want you to do this, and it was way too much. But out of those,
it was like Facebook before Facebook started.
Wow, good one. It was Facebook. Everybody wanted to become my friend. And at the time, we didn't have the auto accept, you know, thing. So, but out of those guys who tried to contact me, I met a guy called Mr. Flash, which was a hip-hop producer from France. And he sent me some tracks, and he said, oh yeah, Pedro, I want you to be my manager. And it was at the time where I was like, no way, no more. I want to do something. And I said, oh, you know what? And it took one day. I don't know, it was a Thursday. And this Thursday morning, I didn't know I will set up a label. And I said, oh, I'm going to put out your music. And I put out a track called Radar Rider, which is a pure hip-hop instrumental track. Really like in the DJ Shadow, to give him respect, DJ Shadow kind of big opera instrumental hip-hop. And I put it out on the first Headbanger. My friend Philippe Zdar of Motorbase gave me a B-side. So I put out this first Headbanger without knowing what I was doing. It was 2003. All the French labels were closing down. Every major company were spending millions in trying to get a new Daft Punk. UK people were still dreaming of disco filtered house. And me, I wanted to do something new, you know, something different. And during a famous cheese party, I was invited to a cheese party. I met two guys, two young kids.
To a cheese party?
To a cheese, yeah, I'm French. You know, you know, respect, you know, like I'm respecting you guys, you know, from Norway or whatever. Respect my Frenchy style. We fucking eat cheese like pork, you know, and even worse, melt cheese. And it's hot, fondue, raclette. So anyway, we were on a big table. I was surrounded by younger kids, you know, and two of them, one little Chinese and one curly hair, you know. At the end of the dinner, they approached me. Oh, Pedro, can we make you listen? We are making some music. Can you come in the room? And I went in Gaspar's room, and they play me "Never Be Alone." We Are Your Friends. It was 2003, and I told them to come to my office the next day. And I think 3 days after that, I was playing in a French club that is closed now called Pulp. I don't know if you guys been to Paris too.
Pulp was like a place where people like Chloé and...
Exactly, like all the Kill the DJ were doing parties. It was like
Yvon
Smag was playing. It was a lesbian club at the beginning. Again, we're going back to the gay scene. We were, you know, it was like really a nice club. Again, like a small, you know, thing, like 300 people. And unfortunately, it closed down. So anyway, I was playing one night there, and I played that track, and something happened. Some guys came to me like, what's this, what's that? And then I think, you know, by the time to do the artwork with Somi and to press the vinyls, we put out this record, and I lived on this record for 3 years, I think. When I mean, this smile is not really what I'm expecting. When I'm saying I'm living, I didn't live with the money out of it, because you don't make money out of, you know, even though you're selling 5,000 vinyls, you don't make much money out of it. But I live, when I'm saying I'm living, I live with it. It gave us enough energy, and it gave confidence to Justice to become a real band, give up their job, go in the studio and work on their first album, and give Headbanger Records, you know, in the computer game, when you have a racing car, you have like the speed thing, like, how can I call it? Le turbo. But you have, which one do you have here? Nitro. Better. I go to Nitro. So let's say We Are Your Friends was the Nitro of Headbanger. And as you can imagine, again, I felt pretty lucky, you know, like second release of a label. Even though, you know, my story being a Daft Punk manager, doing a new label, it wasn't that easy. I mean, this is where life is funny and where I like it. And
you haven't had Daft Punk on the label, so...
Sorry?
You haven't had Daft Punk on your label.
I don't have Daft Punk, but I was, you know, inside of me, I was, oh, you know, all those guys who used to call me, used to be my best friends, maybe they're gonna play my stuff on the radio. And I was like, oh, hello, Pedro. Hello? And it's, I take it with fun, because it's pretty fair, you know, like you know, it can't happen like this. But finally, it happened like this with Justice.
Do you have it with you? Because maybe
I don't think I
one or two people.
I don't think I have it. I don't know, like I don't play this kind of shit in my
in your spare time, huh?
I don't have this. I don't have it. But it's because we are here talking between friends. No one is seeing us and no one is hearing us.
A few people might.
I can say some. I really think, but we'll speak about it later on. I really think that we were lucky enough to release a kind of a track that is important for a generation, you know. And I think We Are Your Friends, you know, will be important for what happened first for Headbanger, sorry, and for the club scene, you know, like you know, A-Track becoming one of the biggest house DJ nowadays, and used to be a big hip-hop head. You know, all those...
So it actually, like Daft Punk, crossed...
Yes.
Crossed over, right?
Completely crossed over. mixing things and reuniting worlds, you know. And I often say it also, talking about Headbangers Party or, you know, Fool's God or Mad Descent, you know, or Stone's Throw. Having, you know, when we are throwing those parties, you know, like we have hip hop heads, you know, wearing crazy color sneakers. We have like you know, like indie kids ready to rave, you know, all these kind of mixed things, and I like being part of this.
What's your theory, like having those indie hip hop backpackers going mad to these tracks, you know, when you were thinking, oh, those guys are usually too cool for school,
Yeah,
and then
but
they
I
totally...
Again, it's a question of time, and you know, they were too cool for school maybe, but now they want a party, you know. And this is maybe another thing I'm trying to tell to my kids, like, enjoy life as much as you can. You know, don't take it too seriously. Don't take yourself too seriously. And I think it's about time that people really have fun and party, you know, and this is what we're doing.
Some academic researchers even came up with the theory that it reminds those people of early Public Enemy tracks, you know, Bring the Noise. And and that's what attracts it.
Maybe we'll see. But I like mixing, you know, and sometimes this is what can surprise people. But when, for example, Headbanger is doing a 3,000 party with Warp in Paris, you know, of course, like, you know, like the too cool for school, smart ass intelligentsia, techno heads, whatever, they are like, what the fuck Warp is doing with Headbanger? And me, I'm like this, and we're filling 3,000 capacity rooms and playing, you know, enjoying seeing Clark kicking it, and then Sebastian kicking it, and the crowd, and enjoying it, you know. When we're doing Stone's Throw and Headbanger, you know, people are like, what the fuck are you doing, Peanut? And at the same time, you know, Peanut is ringing me every time, enjoying our parties, you know, and this is all about this, and this is what I'm, you know, this is what I want to do, you know, this is what I want to DJ when I'm spinning, you know, of course, and I said it at the beginning, when you are playing at Sonar in front of 3,000 people, of course, you have to smack their face, you know, and playing banging tunes. But of course, at home, and you have the proof today, I'm not listening, you know, to crookers in my iPod, you know. But I'm happy to play crookers, you know, to smack some ass, you know. But mixing things is definitely the key. And again, you know, seeing you all guys, you know, reuniting, you know, in this academy, I hope you're not gonna be, you know, oh, we have the backpackers, Flying Lotus fan on this room, we have the LFO techno heads in this one, we have those one here. I think you should definitely mixing things. And earlier, you know, we were briefly speaking about JD, you know. JD was one of the, you know, proof that hip-hop can put a feat. Well, he's from Detroit, so it's a bit different for him because he was already, you know, influenced by electronic music. But for talking about someone I know very well, and I hope you know, DJ Mehdi, which is an artist from Headbanger Records, produced some of the biggest French hip-hop songs, really ghetto songs. Like,
for instance?
Sorry?
Yeah. For instance?
For what does it mean?
An example.
Oh, an example.
For people who are not familiar with, like,
Mehdi,
French hip-hop.
And like really, like he was part of a band called Ideal J, which for me, you know, tall, blonde, white boy, not especially, you know, like the kind of hip-hop I can understand, because, you know, like it was raw hip-hop. And Mehdi was doing this. He was part of this amazing band. And I met Mehdi in 1997, and he wanted to put a foot in our disco game, you know. And I welcome him more than anything because first I was aware of his genius, and he completely, I don't know if I can say embrace our electronic thing. And nowadays, you know, for me, he's definitely one of the best DJ around. For those who had the chance to see him, you know, he's playing now mostly house music, you know. even though his heart is in hip hop, but he's playing house music and he's playing it with the ears of a hip hop guy, and it make it twist a bit different, and you can trust him. He can get a dance floor packed and crazy in a minute, and now he's one of Headbanger most famous artists. And I'm just thinking, I would love to see if I have a hip hop tune from Mehdi in my thing, but I think I have. I would like to listen with you guys one of hip hop track, and then what he's doing nowadays, because nowadays Mehdi discovered, of course, house music, and he's in love with house music, and he's doing music with an English guy called Riton, that you probably heard about too. But first, let's listen to... Oh, whoa. What do I have here? Oh, boy. Okay, I have a special one. This is a bootleg from Mehdi, and only Mehdi can do this kind of thing. Headbanger is going house music, you know?
I can tell. And but it's, your label is pretty diverse.
It's pretty diverse as we are and as I am, Of course, it has to be. It is diverse, and how can I,
that also translates into the artwork, right?
It translates. Yeah, you're professional, no?
I am. That's why.
Okay, I was like, what do you want? And then I now understand. Okay, but it's pretty diverse. First, there is no specific. Diversity. I'm not choosing. I'm not thinking about. Oh, I'm going to release a house. I'm going to release hip hop. I'm going to release this, that. It just the music I like and the music I feel and what my artists are doing, and finally I think we are just a good reflection of the world we are living in. I don't want to go too much into deep talks diversity and let's all be friends and make love together, but
that's pretty French.
That's pretty French. It's true, we are a bit too much like that, huh? But it's better this than keep fighting together, sending army like the English are doing, whatever, But anyway, Headbanger is the reflection of our youth, and again, what I'm seeing today, I've seen some of you more bouncing on DJ Mehdi hip hop thing, more bouncing on the more electro thing, and this is what I want. This is being able to release French hip hop, like DSL, for example. And as you said, you were talking about the artwork, for example, those two, because this one is different. But sorry, I didn't I didn't bring much. But
these are records.
These are records for those who don't know, those who are only fucking Serato or shit stuff like that. Sorry, guys. No, I hate that. To be honest, live, Serato, Tractor, if you are watching us, so unsexy. Now, let's make a... Who is playing Serato? Voila. Voila. No, yeah, but I'm kidding. But yeah, so yeah, of course, with Headbanger, we are still... manufacturing 12 inches, even though unfortunately we don't have much record store in Paris. They are closing down one by one. I think it's pretty the same in London, unfortunately, and I guess it's the same everywhere. And that's pretty sad. That's because for those who spend hours in record stores, in the we call it les bacs in French. I don't know the word in English, but it's pretty...
Getting dusty fingers.
Yeah, dusty fingers. And this is, for example, the last Headbanger records. It's an artist called Breakboat. This is the last signature, in fact, of Headbanger. And even though we don't sell anymore 5 or 10,000, or the golden years, like Stardust, 200,000 vinyls, I'm not kidding, guys. This is way over. And nowadays, for example, Breakboat, we are manufacturing like 1,500, which is still an important figures, you know, for independent label like us. But it's so ridiculous compared to the numbers we used to do, you know. But I still want to do it, even though, you know, it's not, as I said a bit earlier, this is not where we are making our money. But I like the object first, you know, as a big vinyl collectioner. I like the, and can you open it, please? Because I want to keep talking and I can't do both. Oh, you're professional. And, but because we are in 2010 and I'm doing like some other label are doing.
I used to work in a record shop.
Now,
that's why
when you buy an Headbanger record, you have a little card in your vinyl, of course. And with this card, you can download the MP3 for you guys, Serato players, you know. And this is the kind of stuff that is an evolution, you know. Like.
And if I buy it on the internet, you send me the record then.
Yes, and I send you a T-shirt and my sister.
Oh, great!
So this is why we fucking sell a lot on iTunes. But,
how many sisters do you have?
I got some all around the world. And so yeah, I still like the object, you know, even though myself, I don't play anymore with vinyl. And I did a party the other day for DJ Mehdi, in fact. And the game was, I did a hip-hop set, vinyl only. Ooh. And I didn't touch any vinyl for 4 years or something. And I must say it wasn't the best set of my life. Even though the music was magic, the mixing was pretty bad, but no one cares, so it's good. And but yeah, I still want to do vinyl, and also, as I said, the object is important. And I'm working with a French artist called Somi, S-O-M-E. I'm working with him since the beginning of the Headbanger adventure, and I feel like, you know, I met, you know, my alter ego, you know, someone I can trust. He understands completely the vision of the label. He's coming from he's a kind of a dirty graffiti artist, but at the same time, he wants, you know, to work more onto pop images, and he reflects pretty well the music we are doing. He can do those colorful things, for example, but I don't have it with me, but he's also responsible for all the justice art direction that
for the cross as well.
For the cross, like this heavy metal orientated artwork, so he can do different things. And I feel, you're gonna hear me say a lot of times I feel lucky, but I feel lucky I met this guy, and he has my complete confidence. I don't ever speak or ask him to change anything on the record sleeve, and it's been, you know, as I said, 7 years now. And I like to say also my relationship with Somi is something that, you know, like, you are influenced in life, and you don't have to be ashamed of your influences. And me, I get influences by different people. Of course, you know, Factory Record and Peter Saville, for those who know, this Manchester label. And Peter Saville was the art director of this label, and he was doing all the artwork. And I like this duo of, you know, like a music head and artist working together and creating something. Of course, more contemporary, James Lavelle and Futura.
So you think it's very important to have a certain iconography? Is that a word in English?
It's
for the label?
Yeah, it's a choice. Like when I say it's not especially important, you know, there is tons of labels who are doing well and doing completely different sleeves every time, or not having a concrete artistic direction. But talking about Factory and Mowax, for example, was a big influence to me, and I didn't want to recreate it. Yeah, like in a way, I wanted to, you know, be in this category. You
so
know?
The trick is to always have a new sleeve, but it's recognizable at the same time, right?
Exactly, and it's recognizable, but I hope in a way not doing the same thing. You know, like I will be really sad that saying like, oh, your headbanger is always the same design, always the same sound. I prefer, you know, people telling me like, oh, you have like an art direction, you have a sound, but I hope we're not doing the same thing, you know.
And speaking of sound, can we listen to it? Because it's kind of a new sound as well.
Yeah, this is a breakbeat.
An old new sound.
It's a new one, but
But we have the record. You can put it on the...
Well, can you play vinyls?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, but maybe you know what? I have it on my...
It will sound better. It will sound better from here.
Since when? Come on. Since when it's better than my MP3 320? How does it work? Guys, I can scratch. You can't imagine.
I thought I had it all together.
Merde, you understand? Of course, as we are marketing genius, we release it on Valentine's Day, you know?
Oh.
But this is completely an accident.
And it sounded so warm from the record, so warm.
Yeah, like the crisp. Mm. But you know, live, now you have a special effect, crisp.
You can put it on everything.
Logic, you know. But what else?
Yeah, maybe we should open it up a bit to these guys asking questions.
Yeah, because you know what, guys? As you can see, I could speak for hours saying bullshit and stuff. But yeah, it's an open discussion. Huh?
Yeah.
Who got a turntable? I got one turntable here, and I got a Serato here. You can download them. Oh, you don't have Serato? Ah, bah merde. But you have an iPod. Like me. What else?
Yeah. So we just have to wait for a...
Oh, there is a mic here.
Ah.
You got one.
Wanting to know from...
Where are you from?
I'm from New Zealand.
Whoa, boy.
New Zealand.
Whoa. You're the one who did the craziest travel to come here.
Yeah, for sure. Like over a day, over 24 hours.
I was in New Zealand last year.
Oh, word. Whereabouts?
I played Rhythm and Vine.
Rhythm and Vines.
Yeah,
right,
with
right.
Public Enemy.
Oh, right. I was playing that festival too.
It was.
But
we played in the. Sorry, guys. Huh? You know about. We played in the forest.
In the forest. Oh, right. The DJ stage.
Yes.
Yeah. I played on the second stage, not the main stage, but the second main stage. A bit more main than yours, I think.
Sorry?
A bit bigger than your stage.
Way bigger. Way bigger. Hey, come to France. We'll see which stage you're gonna. I don't even know there is a stage for you, man, in France.
Anyway.
What you're doing? Like your DJ, performer?
Drummer, predominantly. Yeah. Anyway, from an industry point of view, in breaking, like at the time when Daft Punk was like, no one really knew who they were. And eventually they got signed and broke, and they are now Daft Punk, and everyone knows who they are. So from that sort of formative stage, what's some advice you could give to bands or acts or anyone who's making music who wants to break into mainstream kind of areas?
Unfortunately, as you know, this is what I've been saying. There is no recipe, no rules, and you know, like stick to what you're doing, you know, and like, you know, I know it's a bit naff to say that, but you know, dream, and because there is no like those one, you know, like saying there is recipe, you know, to break through, they lost already, you know, like when you see record companies like trying to create, you know, the buzz, trying to create something, they already lose, you know. So of course, Keisha, for example, let's take a concrete example. Keisha, of course, everything was planned, but they spend millions of dollars, and like we'll say, like probably in 2 years, no one will give a fuck about Keisha anymore, you know. and so they achieve. So if you want the recipe, you know, do you know like le soufflé? You know, like it's a French soufflé.
Yeah.
So I can give you the recipe to have a big souffle, but I can't tell you in 2 years the souffle will still be up. I think it will be. Bleh. So there is definitely no recipe, and I recommend it, and I wish you, to keep playing, second stage and enjoying it, and having fun with it, rather than tomorrow play the bigger stage, and the next year being, nowhere, and without any energy of creating new stuff or.
Okay.
So there is definitely no recipe for and I will never, in my position, tell someone, oh yeah, you can achieve by doing this, that, and buy some promo, do the radio, do this, do that. There is no recipe. It's just it's a game,
Maybe start a blog, huh?
Maybe go on. You should get a MySpace. I should have said that. No, but I hope you understand the thing,
Cool. Thanks.
There's
Hello.
Introduction. Where are you from? What you do? Which stage did you play?
I'm playing the shittiest stage always.
Where are you from?
I'm from Portugal,
Yeah. Porto or Lisboa?
Lisboa. I wanted to ask you. It's obvious that Headbanger, it's been doing what Headbanger does is actually heavy music. But was it a choice from the start? Like, I'm starting this label and I'm infusing heavy metal into house music. Was it from the beginning? Was it an idea? Because I've seen you all with the Metallica T-shirts and the Rage Against the Machine re-edits and all that.
Yeah, it's as I said a bit earlier. It's not not a choice. It just and it's not. I don't want to sound too selfish or really ego trip, but it's about me being a Parisian boy born in '75, doing 10 years of skateboarding, and it's all those bricks, together, discovering electronic music, discovering Run DMC, all this together makes me want to do this, this label and being able to mix all those genres together. But saying that, it's a way for you to understand why we are like this. But what I'm saying, I am not the only one, and this is why finally the kids are recognize themselves in Headbanger. It's because they are like, yeah, there is a bit of them in what we are doing, But I didn't calculate. I didn't think, oh, yeah, I'm gonna take the Metallica T-shirt, the Nike backpacker thing. I'm gonna be a fan of JD. I'm gonna be a fan of Kraftwerk. I'm gonna be a fan of LFO to be smart. It's just the way we are, and it has also something to be with French, to be a bit like patriot. We are, I think, lucky to be. I know I'm going to irritate some, but being in the center of the world and being in the center of the Europe, we are lucky to. But I really feel it, honestly, like French people, and not being arrogant, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. We are like a multicultural country, and growing up with disco, growing up with rock, growing up with rap, and growing up with electronic music. We are a country, luckily even though I'm complaining about our radio, too commercial or whatever, we are still lucky enough to have some medias in France where you can listen to a large range of music. You can go like commercial, but if you don't want to hear commercial, you switch off the radio, People complaining, oh, I hate fucking Radio 1. Listen to Red Bull radio if you want. Listen to something else. There is other ways to get, culture.
Is it true about the French radio that they play like an English song and then afterwards the French cover version of it? Someone told to me the other day.
This is not true at all. No. I like this kind of urban legend. No, this is not true at all, but we have in France, and this is true, but I'm wondering if it's the same all around Europe. We call it quota, and French radios, they are forced by the government to play a certain amount of French songs. And it's funny, let's have a little joke about Daft Punk. At the time when we released Around the World, that you all know, Around the World was made by the French band, made in fucking Paris, but it wasn't a French song to the politics. You know, it was like, oh no, it's in English. It's not a French. It was not going on a French quota radio thing. But yeah, there is this kind of thing. But this is like not really interesting. But to go back to Lisboa, it's it's not about calculating or market. It's just the way I am and the way you are. You know, I've seen you like reacting on DJ Mehdi and reacting on Breakboat. It's not, you know, like we can, you know, luckily, you know, we have like open ears. And again, I'm gonna repeat myself. I feel pretty lucky to cry on Metallica and cry on Isolé or cry on, you know. And I hope you cry also on Isolé.
Maybe he would even like a T-shirt, right? Of
yours. Sorry?
He would even like a T-shirt of yours then.
A what?
A T-shirt.
A T-shirt of mine.
Yeah. Like with cool cats.
Yeah,
you know?
man. I wish I had some. I wish. Yeah. I didn't prepare all this, but as you, this is a. You could have even asked it as an open question. This one. Maybe some of you know that, you know, I'm also a side of Headbanger. I've launched a side project called Copycats, which is we can say a merchandising adventure where we're doing like you know, T-shirts, caps, sneakers, and whatever, all the stuff that as a young boy in 2010 watching Hype Beast every day and all the forums, you know, being a fan of Stussy from day one and stuff like that, and Supreme. I wanted to have fun also with this, which is for me again another media. You know, there is of course like radios, internet, and newspapers, but I take merchandising as a new way of expressing ourselves, of spreading our sound, and and also in a more business way, another way to make money. Because as I said earlier, now we are selling 1,000 records. This is not like this that I'm going to travel first class to Coachella, you know. So we need to make money, and to make money, of course, there is the big artist, Justice, Uffie, Sebastian, Mr. Oizo. But Headbanger is not all about that. It's also about Mr. Flash, Crazy Baldhead, DSL, some other smaller artists that you might have never heard, but I'm still producing their music, and I'm proud and happy to do this. And in the same time, you know, you have to, you know, find the money. So you find the money by scratching your head, meeting people, doing deals with brands, smarter deals in the better way, shitty deals. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes I've done some mistake, selling my ass to companies that I regret, but that's life.
Which companies?
I can't say on video, but it was kind of recent, and it's not a big deal because it's done. But I'm not ashamed of that too, you know. Like, and I'm, you know, earlier you asked me, oh Pedro, is there some stuff we can speak or not? Talking about the way of financing, you know, and funding your creation is for me not a problem to speak about it, and you know, finding money with brands is the new game today. You know, like how many labels are you know making collaborations with brands to fund their label. Most of my friends doing it, and I'm doing it too, and it can be interesting.
Because it's still stuff you would like to wear yourself, right?
Yeah, of course. Like like more on the brands merchandising things. Yeah, of course. Like, you know, doing, you know, when Nike is calling me to do like a pair of Nike, you know, again, how can I refuse that? You know, like when I'm watching all your shoes, guys, how can you refuse, you know, something from Nike? And even though they are the monsters, but sometimes it's good to play with the monsters. And so yeah, again, sorry, I don't want again like to be too talky about that, but I just try to make you smile about and to take it to let back a bit, especially because I know electronic heads and, you know, like people like a bit like, oh, he's selling his ass to a brand, he's selling, you know, selling off. This whole discussion about being underground, you know, not being a sellout artist. Guys, we are in 2010. You know, it's different nowadays, and enjoy life. You know, scratch your head. This is the most important, and this is when a brand is calling me. Instead of saying what I used to do back then with Daft Punk, I had like a call from Coca-Cola or whatever, and I was like, whoa, 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 don't even speak to me. Nowadays, of course, I'm taking the phone and I'm scratching my head and I'm saying, oh, let's try to make something out of it, you know, something interesting. And especially nowadays, at least brands, for example, understood that it's not about putting a logo on your flyer, putting a logo on your record, putting a logo on your t-shirt. It's about achieving something and being part of something. And this is a bit what you are all doing, if I understand, during those crazy weeks. And this is what, of course, I'm sometimes doing. Red Bull, for example, let's talk clearly, was part of this big party I did in Paris with Warp. And to set up such a big party, and we have a Hudson Mohawk in the house, and he was there, and he's seen it, and it was a 3,000 party. You know, it was a pretty big party in Paris. And of course, I can't pay it myself. So luckily, you know, there is some smart people who are part of it, and you know, they record the shows, put it on the radio, and I think it's pretty fair, you know, like as a deal. So all this, sorry to make it short because I can speak hours about that. Take life with a smile and sell out and be, and you know, like this whole like underground and mainstream is over, guys.
We've paid
You are
him,
all mainstreams now. You are all on TV now.
and we've paid him extra to say that.
In fact, and I think it's, again, with a smile, I'm definitely not paid to be here with you today. And I'm happy to be, when Laurence from Red Bull France proposed me to be part of this meeting with you guys, I felt pretty comfortable, not in a way of teaching, because I'm no one to teach you anything, but I'm just happy to, you know, like I'm 34 years old now, and I know that if I was younger, I will be happy to listen to a French asshole who traveled the world. You know?
You're not an asshole. Come on.
Yes, I am.
No.
And I'm cool to be.
And we had one more question there from. Yeah? Or you can.
He's holding the mic. I don't want to steal it.
First the lady and then the gentleman.
Hello? Okay. I forgot what I was supposed to say from the...
Where are you from?
I'm from Los Angeles.
LA.
Yeah,
Whoa.
so my name is Jennifer. I'm from Los Angeles. I'm from Brain Feeder. Now I forgot my question. No, okay. Okay, because I'm from Los Angeles, I remember when Ed Banger first started coming over, it was more of like a hipster thing. Like no one really knew about it. And this was like several years ago. Now it's come to a point where I can go to any mainstream club and then I'll hear like Ed Banger parties, not like they're particularly sponsored, but then that's all they'll play. And I'll hear people that are the most musically uninclined, like they don't know shit about music, but all they know is like Ed Banger. And then you see a lot of younger producers that are coming out from our area that's basically like kind of trying to formulate that sound and come out and like just emulate the artists that are on your label. Mm-hmm. And in that sense, I'm sure that's like worldwide too. What do you feel about the phenomenon where now you have a lot of biters and people that are like, your concept is being original and being like really well-rounded, but these people are setting out to really just copy.
Mm. It's again, like we have to be fair with it. You know, it's part of the game, and it's exactly, you know, life is a cycle. Daft Punk, 2003, France was a nightmare. We had like 20 fake Daft Punk at the time, and it's our responsibility to, you know, my goal at the moment, and we can listen to some of the music, is to propose you some different music. If now you come to a real headbanger party, I will definitely not play the fucking noisy sound that everybody's playing, because even myself, I'm fed up. And I will never, you know, be happy that if Justice is coming back with a new record, which is all about, you know, because we did it.
Yeah.
We did it a few years ago, and I completely understand your frustration because even myself, you know, when I'm DJing now, the kids front of me, they are like, "Ah." and me, I want to play house music, you know.
Yeah.
So it's a cycle, and this is why sometimes I'm speaking a bit seriously about responsibilities. I hope it's the good translation in English.
Responsibilities.
I feel responsible, like I'm having fun with my label and with my life, but at the same time I feel responsible. I don't want, you know, the Headbanger fans and kids to listen only to shit, fake, noisy, distorted disco or whatever. I'm trying, you know, to open their ears, you know, and this, you know, like this new wave of, as you said, like new producers, you know, doing the same sound. This is unfortunately, this is the game, you know. Like it was the same for Daft Punk. It was the same in rock and roll, you know. Like how many The Strokes did we have? You know, we had like 20 The Strokes, and luckily only one, only two stay, you know. And then after that, it's a question of time. Like, you know, we'll be back in Los Angeles in April, and I invite you to our crazy party.
Okay.
It's going to be different, you know. From the music we are releasing, from the way we are DJing, of course, we have to reinvent ourselves and propose something, you know, like the day we will be bored ourselves, I can't imagine how bored the kids will be, you know. Mm-hmm. And again, this is our responsibility of proving that we are not just, you know, like hipster or whatever, you know, like it's cool to be upstairs, like again, you know, like don't misunderstand me, you know. It's cool, like when you know, Herb, Accelerator, Days and Confused, those labels are telling you you're the best label of the year. Of course, that's cool, you know, 2006, 2007, 2008. But life, it's, yeah, because this is true. Sorry. 3 years in a row, what can I do? And, but not 2009. So.
Who was it in 2009?
I don't care. Yeah. Some stupid underground shit. No, it was probably, who was 2009? Who was I don't know. There is plenty. But anyway, this is like when I'm talking about cycle, this is the game, you know. Sometimes you're winning, sometimes you're losing. And this is me, I'm really good, I'm a good loser, you know. Like, you know, I accept, you know, sometimes to be a bit back. And then we have to come back with fresh sound. But I completely understand because I know Los Angeles quite well. And fuck, what a nightmare.
You guys own the city, apparently.
Yeah, but if I can, how can I apologize?
It's not a problem.
No, I know.
Yeah.
No, but I'm apologizing of those guys polluting your ears, you know. They are playing, and this is, again, I want to make the difference. When I'm making fun of Justice and distorted electro and stuff, I feel what we were doing was melodic noise, you know. But nowadays, they are just making, it's too strong and too crazy. Like
noisy noise.
It's noisy noise. So what's the point of, you know, I can fart, it's going to be more noisy, you know. So I don't understand, honestly. So let's go back more in
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, hi. I'm Moises from Tijuana, Mexico.
No.
Yes, all the way from the corner.
You know Tony?
Yeah, of course.
Oh.
Yeah. It's a really small city. So yeah.
I had a crazy one in Tijuana.
Yeah,
We got stopped at the frontier on the way back.
Oh yeah, the border is shit.
The border is
it's
crazy.
Shit. Yeah.
Honestly, now I understand. Fuck that.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Yeah, my question was a little bit like hers. That Tijuana is, I mean, it's everywhere you go. They even have like a Daft Punk night and like all these kids, 15-year-old kids start producing that kind of sound. Like I've heard people call it like microwave house. You know, like
Microwave house.
Microwave house. Like,
hey, I'm calling my assistant. Copyright. Register microwave.com. Let's continue.
But I mean, in a way, I think it's good because like most of these kids, they're like 15, 14 years old, and they're already making like banging tracks, even though they're like, I mean, they're pretty generic, but they're like, whoa, you can dance to it. Especially these guys like Krylon, maybe. I think Tony is the manager.
I think, yeah.
They started
Who's this Tony you're talking about?
Tony, just sorry guys for the personal joke. Tony is a promoter from Tijuana, and he's making parties in Tijuana, and
Not a lot anymore, though.
oh, not anymore.
Well, he is, but more spread out.
Oh, okay.
Like in 2007, it was like
He was bringing most of the DJs from Headbanger and
Yeah.
all around to Tijuana.
But yeah, I mean, the sound was really, really big in Tijuana. But like, I see it as a good thing nowadays because those kids that started like when they were 15, they started making music. But I mean, what I think personally that whatever sound you start with, and if you're really into music, you're gonna probably break through and create your own stuff. So it's like when you start off playing the guitar, maybe you played in a crappy punk band, generic punk band or metal, but punk band, a metal band. I mean, if you're really into the music and if you're really into originality, I think you're gonna break through and you're gonna. And I think going back to her question, do you think there is such a thing as getting overly like too famous?
Yeah. No, the problem is not about being too famous. You know, again, me, I don't have any problem of underground, mainstream, overground, sellout, Justin Timberlake, all this. You know, like it's not. You know, it's never a problem. Like let's make it clear. A musician being well known all around the world is never a problem. Now the problem, as I can hear and I can see, is the kind of a copycat or the bad education. Then after that, it's probably a question of education. You know, those guys 15 years old, and this is why we have to understand maybe why nowadays they are doing Daft Punk nights. Again, I don't know, like the average age, it's 25 here. But imagine the kids who are coming to our parties, they are 15 years, guys. They are so small. Speaking to them about 97 when Homework was released, they were babies. So, you know, so nowadays for discovering Daft Punk, discovering this whole club energy, this whole thing mixing, you know, like again, nowadays in 2000, those guys, they're 15, they don't have this question about like, oh, there is a heavy metal guitar, then a 808 beat. They just take it like this, you know, they don't understand that it's two different worlds getting together, you know. And so this is why, again, by doing stuff like that, sending playlists to magazines, making interviews, our responsibility is to show them that we are not, me on my iPod, I'm not listening to Daft Punk or Justice all day long. I'm listening to different kind, and this is what we have to spread them, and this is why they have to read about, you know, our stories, stuff like that, for example. And also another interesting point I want to jump on in your discussion, the way the kids are making music today. We are doing music, you are making, we are doing music. We all have the same instrument. 96 with Daft Punk, 95. Daft Punk studio was about 2 tables like that. 909, 808, Orbit synthesizers, Ensoniq samplers, SP 1200, you know, samplers. Lot of equipment, you know, sequencers, compressors. At the time it was, I don't know, I don't know the cost, but it was a lot of money. And no one can do this kind of music at the time. For example, Homework, only people who got a bit of money who can have such an equipment. 10 years, 15 years later, I am in my room in my hotel, I can make an album with Logic, I can make an album with Live, with all those, and this is where the turning point is, from having the curiosity to learn those machines, Roland, TB303, all those stuff where you had to be a bit freaky because those machines are not easy to use, you know. Nowadays, we are all equal. We just press, you know, Pom C, Pom whatever, Pom, Apple C, Apple whatever. We are all equal, and the difference will make either way you are, you know, like genius. I'm not talking about genius, but you are a creative person or not. And unfortunately, most of the kids who are making banging tunes, who are cool to play in clubs, they did it. I can do it in 2 minutes with my Apple C, Apple D, Apple A, Apple whatever, Live and Logic software. And this is a turning point in the creation where finally everybody can be an artist, everybody can, you know, make beats, but luckily, you know, like art and creation. This is nothing you can buy on, like a Apple store,
But with your pretty tight time schedule, it's a blessing for you, right? How do you find time to make? You do music yourself as well,
As
right?
I said, because I'm happy to live in 2010, and for example, it's funny. I just finished a remix. I'm a bit of a lazy bastard on a production level. I've been introduced to Akai MPC 2000 by DJ Mehdi in '97, and it was how I was making music at the time with my MPC. So and recently I discovered Logic. So now I'm mostly making music with Logic. And you can finish Logic in a plane, in your hotel room or whatever. And I'm pretty happy. I managed to finish this remix for my friend Tiga. In fact, it's not for him. It's for his label Turbo. But he sang a German band called A Today. And where is it? And I just finished this remix. And I'm going to use this time to go pee. I'm letting you with my electro. Ah oui, ça marche là. You hear me a lot saying merde, merde, merde. What can I say?
We have one more question.
Tell me.
I don't have a question.
Oh.
This young man over there.
Hello, I'm Andrew from Montreal.
Oh non!
Good segue.
De quoi?
Good segue. The Tika.
C'est pour un Turbo A Today.
Okay.
Ouais.
Désolé, mon français n'est pas.
Oh là là, you're fucking Montreal English side. Hey.
I'm not from Montreal originally.
Oh, okay.
But
It's good town. Anyway, I I have a question. I guess about. Well, I'm going to use the broad term of disco. You talked about how you used to be kind of like into skateboarding culture. I find it interesting that most genres, as they progress, eventually progress towards disco in one form or another, be it punk, even heavy metal at one point was sort of doing a disco thing. I mean, and then Justice is a good example of that too. And you're talking about skateboard culture. I'm wondering, why do you think that is, if you agree with that idea at all, and where do you think you can progress beyond kind of disco sound, disco.
So just
quote,
for me
unquote.
to understand, you mean like it's normally some words that are not communicating. This is what you meant.
Yes.
Yeah, and this is the. It wasn't at all a challenge, but this is what is exciting. Playing with some stuff that you are not. Discovering different worlds. And it's about that. And it's about also like growing up. Spending 10 years listening, to Dinosaur Jr. or stuff like that. At some point you're discovering some other stuff, and I don't agree. I don't think it's incompatible. And we are the result of this. We are the proof. And again, we are not the only one. Like when I say we, I'm talking about my generation. And I'm talking probably some of you here, this was, maybe 10, 15 years ago. I remember, again, to speak about when DJ Mehdi entered, my life. At the time, we were DJing together, and we were playing like hip-hop, electro, and stuff like that. And not far ago, people were still like, oh no, we want only house music, or we want only this. And they were still, a bit weird of hearing different kind of music. Nowadays, it's not a problem anymore, Sadly, my personal point of view, the hip-hop DJs went 100% into shitty house music, like bad taste. Luckily, for example, we have A-Track, who's even sometimes A-Track, I tell him like, yeah man, you should use your skills, he's the best in the game, and sometimes he's just playing, proper house.
Also from Montreal, might I add.
He's also from Montreal. And And I'm telling him that don't give up on your hip hop roots. And he played, for a few headbanger, and he played in New York for the headbanger party. And in the middle of his set, of course, in front of 3,000 people, he did like a 15 minutes or 20 minutes break of hip hop, and people went mad. And nowadays, those differences are our forces, and mixing things is the key, is the answer, like to go back, mixing things, mixing our worlds is definitely the only advice, finally, after this 2 hours talk with you guys, is the only solution, is the only, thing that I will recommend to you in doing this academy thing. Getting together, I think it will be even funny, to look at all your profile and choosing for you, because I'm sure you are still a bit shy or like, oh no, I don't want to go with this guy. Yeah, finally you're gonna go with this guy in the studio and oh, but he's a weirdo. Look how he looks like. Yeah, you're gonna go in the studio with him and maybe you're gonna do something crazy, And of course, mixing things, sorry, is the key. And again, we are the proof. Of course, I'm going, to Rage Against the Machine concert when they are playing in Paris. And the next day, I'm going to see the Rick May at Rex Club, and I get goosebump, and I'm not the only one. And like, I don't know, like, what can I say? Maybe because we are French, as I said, we like to play in different games. Not saying that, we are just taking the best of it. We are really like enjoying it, Oh, les Frenchies. Ah non.
Dernière question, oui.
Montréal?
Ouais, Montréal. L'autre côté français, bilingue, Montréal. Woo. Okay. Oh my God. 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 Wow. All right.
I love Canada. I got a maple leaf tattooed on my arm. So I needed to show to my Canadian friends.
Ouais. Ouais, bien sûr, mon nom c'est Lunis de Montréal. So yeah, my question is, in terms of drums, because I know there's a specific kind of like drum samples that you're using, and I've noticed like from Daft Punk in the 90s, of their kind of drums to Justice and the 2000s, and how it evolved into much more harder hits. And now hearing your remix with your drums, it sort of started to like evolve into another kind of more hip hop oriented, or like
because the one I use is 808. So
yeah.
Like
so I was wondering, like, in terms of like the stage from like the Daft Punk to like the Justice, did you see like a noticeable evolution of the drums?
It's a really good question. It's maybe it's going to be a bit technical for a second, but at the same time it's good to know. Daft Punk we are using like a 909 drum machine, which is the most famous techno drum machine. So 909. Justice, they are sampling their drums from rock and FM bands, so this is why they have their sound. And the one I use on this one is the lovely Logic 808 beats. So it's true, it's different, but it's just at the same time, in what I've just told you, Daft Punk were more techno, Justice are more like into like a California FM radio, and me, I'm more influenced by the master Rick Rubin, who produced Run DMC and the Beastie Boys, and overusing the 808 drum machine. So I'm trying to rip off Rick Rubin style, even though I have a lot of work.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay,
Je
then,
viens à Montréal le 8 mai. Ouais.
Good. Je suis là.
then I guess our time is up.
No, you told me 4 hours.
4 hours.
Now I wanted to tell you about my mother.
Yeah, we have a lunch.
No.
We have a lunch break, and then you can go on for another 2 hours.
Let's finish. No, I already said my outro by mixing stuff, and but most important, honestly, it's enjoying what you're doing and having fun with it. I know it's really naff, but again, I'm not ashamed of anything, as you can see. Enjoying it, making fun of yourself, and this is the key, Because the moment you're gonna be like serious guy, you're gonna make some boring music, you know.
That's a nice word. Give it up for
Give it up for you guys.
Thank you very much.